One time for your mind, it's your man Mastermind with my two co-hosts,
Mia Jackson
and
Erica Brantley Gwynn.
And welcome to the 3G'S podcast. Today's show is sponsored by Guru Travel, the smart way to travel. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. How y'all doing, ladies?
Good.
All right.
It's been a second. I'm glad to be back here with you.
I'm happy to be back as well. I am really riding the high from our last show.
Man, I got a lot of independent questions about this is exactly what I wanted. It's not too stuffy. It's what we needed to hear. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's a good feeling.
It was a lot of love.
Yeah.
I wanted to reach out, share that stuff with somebody, but I'm just like, y'all just keep watching, keep supporting us. I'm really proud of what we're doing.
I love it.
So what about you? Did they blow you up after episode 1?
I was harassing people more than I probably got because I was so hyped up about just the idea of going okay, let me pause.
Okay, talk.
Every comedian has a podcast. I mean, every comedian, and it's always usually you talk to other comedians. That's it. So for me, it's kind of cool to be I'm doing something different that I can talk to people about. So I've already been talking to people could you be a possible?
Oh yeah.
Yes. And I did put it on my fan page, but I don't know. Do we get it? I don't know if I got a lot of traction from. I know people saw it.
I think
people
they saw it. You know
it.
what I noticed?
What's that?
They'll see things and may not comment because they just don't know what to say, but they definitely have seen it with awareness. So
yeah,
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah,
I'm
as
gonna go
time
back
goes
and
on,
look.
I think more people gonna be more apt to reply and share. But personal sending us messages, inboxes, and everything. Yeah, we're seeing the love, and we really appreciate the love. So keep tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to us, like us, and all that good stuff. So we're going to keep doing it. Yes. You keep watching. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So today's episode, I like to call it Winning Grants Like Horace.
What? Hey.
That speaks to my soul because I'm like a ghostwriter rapper. Okay. So the lyrics instantly just come to me. Yes, I really am.
Well, since you put it out there, I'm ready for a freestyle about writing grants.
Oh, well, then you put me on the spot. All right.
Let me hear it. Because she said
Living
she
raw
could do
deal. Spill. Forget. I wish I knew the lyrics. Fettuccine and veal. I was literally still in all about the Benjamins line.
Okay,
I mean,
so this wasn't.
I'm not a freestyle rapper, but I can pre-write lyrics.
You can pre-write
and
lyrics?
write.
All right, then.
I did not know that.
Instructions for next episode is have a pre-written
rap.
Yeah.
Okay, that goes with the topic.
Yeah, let's go for that.
But can we act like it's a freestyle? You know how sometimes they catch rappers like that. It'll be like, yo. Let me look at my notes real quick. Can we?
I got it.
But we want
I
to make
like
it seem
that.
like yo, yeah.
I think I could do that.
But now we already gave it away, so never mind. All right, fine.
We'll see because
right,
I don't think she's gonna
fine.
come through though.
What?
Okay,
I got bars.
Oh, you got
I'm
bars.
ready.
So
right.
Starting today's episode is part 1 in the 7-part series about putting together, the components of a fundraising plan. All right. So grant writing is number 1. It's one of our number 1 topics that people have been asking us about.
Yeah.
And so it just so happens that it's the first one in our 7-part series. And so when we get to that point in the show, E-Baby is going to break it down so you guys can understand all about, winning grants like Horace.
Break
it's not as easy as you thought, because I know at one point I wanted to write a grant or at least get some free money some kind of way. I was like, I have no earthly idea how to put a grant together. I don't know who to reach out to, but now I do.
Right.
Now I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also important to say, we're looking to how to manage the money once it does come, and knowing what's the cycle of expectation. You can get awarded a grant on today, and then it takes 3 to 6 more months before you actually see what's the funding is coming from. So I think I can give some good tips about how we're gonna divvy that up, how you strategize to apply for them, and then what to do with it after you get awarded. So.
Now, and we'll let you know about that. So we have also coming up on the show, my girl Mia. She has some comedians that you need to be aware of.
Need to know.
Coming up. So with that, basically, whenever you're watching BET, Comic View, or whatever, you be like, I know that person. Or you're listening to
Comedy Central,
or Laugh Out Loud, Kevin Hart's LOL.
Yeah, any of that stuff. I know people who you should know, who I know.
Yes.
that everybody should know. That you will now know.
Yes.
And we're also
Be
giving
informed.
away money.
Money.
We are giving away money. Already, people are giving us money to give away money. So understand. So you stay tuned for that part right there. All right?
Every episode.
Every episode.
Yeah.
Now let's see if I want to write a grant to you both for my bills. Can I do that for
Can
next
you pay my bills?
month? No.
See, but that's a great segue
No.
because it's time for
All right.
the mailbag. And in the mailbag, you know how we get down. You know how we get down in the mailbag. All right. I'm
right.
gonna read a question
Okay.
that's sent to us, and then I need you to answer it.
I'm answering it.
All right,
Because I am a guru, baby.
Guru light,
I'm a yes. I am a.
guru-esque.
I'm a guru-esque. No. Just I'm an expert at life.
There we go.
Yes, you are.
There we
Because
go.
being an
Answer.
expert at life, I'ma just answer. All right.
There we go. In
All
the
right.
Guru Green, we got the Guru,
Yes.
Erica.
So then I'm gonna give you like more of the, this is what you really can use as well, but related to nonprofit guru stuff. So you're gonna get the best of both worlds today.
This is true.
Oh, maybe that's it. I'm the for-profit guru, but it's just because I'm for. Okay. All right.
You for profit. Oh,
You
got
are.
my
Yes,
hand out
yes, yes.
already.
All right.
Yes, yes.
Fine.
So,
All right,
but
I'm
no,
ready.
it was really cool because I got a lot of people on, and I think I heard the same comments from y'all that people loved the mailbag section. Yeah. So send us your questions. Send them directly to us. We're going to get them answered to you in the mailbag, everyone's favorite segment. All right. Go to 3G Podcast at thenonprofitguru.com. That's the number 3G Podcast at thenonprofitguru.com. So without further delay, here is the first question.
All right.
This one, all right, ladies, this one is from Sarah from New York City. She says, I hate asking people for money. It feels like I'm begging. I only want grants to sustain my programming ideas. Is that okay?
Begging is begging okay. Yeah, I mean, like if you really want to beg for grants, from what I understand, you just should go like on a street corner, like, and just stand out there and you just like, hey, and then you have a cup and you just write on there, I need grant money, and that's usually the process, and I think it's totally fine, based on the times that I have requested grant money, which is.
I can.
Do you think? How do you feel about? Is that?
Well, I heard TLC's I ain't too proud to beg in the
Okay.
back of my mind
All right,
while you were
okay.
saying that.
Okay.
So I think no, that's
All
not
right, that's
typically
fair.
where we're gonna go with it.
That's
but I understand where she's coming from.
Okay.
If you don't do fundraising all the time, the main thing is like, I feel like I'm intimidated. I'm like overwhelmed with the thought of going to someone to ask them for money. So for me, what would I tell Sarah? I would say, first of all, know exactly your mission statement. When you refer it back to your organization's mission, vision, knowing like what you're asking for, it takes the stress off of the personal ask, so that you're no longer
okay.
feeling overwhelmed like, I'm asking so I can pay my own bills. Actually, you're asking on behalf of the 50 children you serve in your organization or whatever. So that's my advice to Sarah. It's just to remember like why you're asking for it and removing yourself personally from the ask, and thinking about how many people will be impacted as a result of you opening up that conversation
So-
with a future donor.
Remember the why, basically.
Yes, remember the why.
Good one. All right, then. Philip in Dallas says, I have a board, but they don't meet often. Why is this necessary for fundraising?
So, as far as I know, people like to have meetings. So,
Meetings about the meeting.
meetings about the meeting. So, if you can have meetings about meetings all the time, that's really just basically so y'all can talk. I mean, that's really what it's for. Like you have meetings about meetings to talk and not get a lot of stuff accomplished. So that's
Because if you don't have a meeting, how do you?
because
how often you gonna see these people?
How do you right? So he's asking if meetings are necessary. He said they don't meet as often as they want.
What are you,
All right,
is
well-
yeah.
Wait, what was this?
I have a board, but they don't meet.
They don't
often.
meet often. Well, you gotta.
Why is this necessary for fundraising?
It's necessary because, like I said, you gotta meet about the meeting, which will then finally get you to the meeting about the fundraising, and then you have a meeting about a meeting after that. So, like, it's kind of pretty important.
It keeps the meat industry.
There you go, because there is an industry.
There's an industry because it keeps the donut shops in business.
Boom. So
and coffee.
I hope that makes sense. You're right, because you got it. Because if I can't walk in with 2 hot carafes of coffee,
the meeting wasn't official.
then it's not. Did you even really meet?
Right.
Yeah.
Did you meet?
It was just people sitting down at the table staring at each other.
So I'm gonna say So I think I feel pretty much of an expert in that area to say that meeting is important. Why? I am going to leave that to the guru.
Yeah, you know what? This is the thing. I actually find this to be the secret sauce of grant writing. Because meetings that you're having, they need to be documented. So if your board members are not meeting at all, you need to just kind of switch gears, get them used to meeting 4 times a year, and documenting everything that happens, because grant funders are going to look at your strategic plan. I can't talk today. And they're going to see in your meetings, as they read your minutes when you submit that to the funder, they want to see, are you actually actively working towards the goals that you say you're going to do? So it is a hidden tool of fundraising, not just grant writing, but just in general. As you're building out things, your funders want to see a track record, and they want to see how Mia voted, how did Arvell vote, how did Erica vote, and then they can make better decisions about, are we strategically aligned, and are we making progress towards our 3-year or 5-year plan.
Knowledge.
So basically, as a funder, it's important. I mean, it's more for the funder to know, so the funder's like, oh, they're doing what they're supposed to do, or this is that.
Or
type
they
of thing.
see where the barriers are. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect and say, like, at our meeting minutes that everything happened the way we thought. They want to see real time what's happening, and are you taking surveys, or this was a barrier. We didn't have an evaluation person on our team, so they just want to see what is actually occurring and making sure that you are doing things to make corrections, or either they know, like, you have a vision and strategy. So it's important in fundraising because they want to see it, and they're going to ask for copies of it, maybe even as much as 2 years out. So you do want to follow Robert's rules. You do want to, go through a formal process, but it doesn't have to be 10 pages per meeting of minutes. Just making sure you're documenting what you say is happening.
They just want to make sure you're not blowing the donut budget.
Thank you.
As we said, very important.
All right, here's another one. This one is from, don't laugh, Gary in Indiana.
Oh, the murder capital of the...
Is it the murder capital?
Wasn't it at one point?
I know James, what's his name?
Michael.
Yeah. Well, Michael's daddy.
Or Joe.
Joe said, we got to get out of here.
That's what that's the, if I don't know anything.
Again, this is Gary in Indiana.
Not Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
So Gary could be somewhere else in Indiana.
So I told y'all not to laugh, but y'all took it and
Not
ran.
the home of the Jackson 5.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, fine.
So that would be Gary in Indiana.
Gary in Indiana. All right, fine. We're sorry, Gary.
I bet
sorry.
you said Gary, though.
My bad, Gary.
All right. What is the difference?
Kill me, Gary.
What is the difference between a CEO? Oh, Lord. I'm already thinking about her response. All right. Between a CEO and a board chair for a nonprofit.
Okay, so
Why does she have an answer already?
Because you know what? I think she saw your answers up for your question.
Okay. A CEO and a board chair. What's the difference between both of those for a nonprofit? Really, just a lot of letters is the difference. Like, that's really because the board chair has way more letters than CEO. So that's,
in terms of, like, on paper, how it's spelled out.
Yeah, it's just how it's spelled is really the main difference. Does that?
Bravo. I didn't see that come. I was like, okay, where we going with this one? A lot of letters. I like that.
Actually, it was really good.
That was a good one.
But I'm going to use that. I'm going to cash it and I'm going to flip it. Because there are a lot of letters, that means that board chair has more responsibility to oversee the organization along with the board. So the difference is your board chair is like the governance of the agency, and they, along with the board, have the right to hire and fire the CEO. Because the CEO of the nonprofit, even if you're a founder, they are not the person, like, nobody owns a nonprofit. It's a charitable organization. So the biggest difference is the board chair is the right-hand man to support the CEO, but the board chair has a responsibility to make sure to tell the CEO if they have done something wrong and to get them back in shape so that we can keep going.
Well, this show is rolling right along. Once again, this is the 3G's podcast. This is the mailbag segment. My name is Mastermind. To my left is the wonderful, your favorite, America's new favorite comedian,
Mia Jackson.
And to my right is the guru herself.
Yes, Erica Brantley Gwynn.
And now we're going on to our next question. This question is from Anthony around the corner in Lithonia, Georgia.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Anthony.
Our
like my
nonprofit
We know
organization provides services to youth.
Okay.
Can we have alcohol sponsors for our fundraising events?
For the
Oh,
youth.
I saw you look right at me. Should I just go right into it? You can't play with alcohol and children, right?
You sure? Because I was gonna say
I need to hear it.
Jello shots.
I need to hear what you
Yeah.
got to say. It's
Okay.
hurting my heart.
I
Come
think
on.
it's fine, right?
No.
Can you? Because some people say you can put brandy in babies' milk,
Oh,
like when
it
they
help
babies,
rub
like
it on their
milk.
gums.
Or like you just get
Just make
them
'em-
sleep.
Oh.
And I mean, I don't have kids. So I'm just going off what
Maybe you were
what
right.
the streets say.
We're gonna put a disclaimer on this one. To say,
do not listen
these
to me.
views are not endorsed by.
That view was endorsed by me. So
I love it. So to answer the question, I'm going to say that yes, if I'm a nonprofit organization and our focus is children, you still have fundraisers that tailor to who your donors are, and more than likely your donors are adults. So you can have a cigars and whiskey event, and the proceeds
Okay.
from that event can go back to a nonprofit that sponsors or supports youth. But I think sometimes that I've seen there's a fine line between that. Like, oh, we deal with children. We should not ever serve alcohol in our fundraisers. And no, if the children are not at that event and your donors are adults, then yeah, it's a safe space. And you can get them as alcohol sponsors. So I've seen it all the time.
See,
All right.
I always know how to flip a situation to where to get sponsors and get money.
Okay.
Get them grants. This is why she's the guru.
This is why she's the
rocking
guru.
that money green, so it's all gravy.
because I would have been like, no, you can't. No. Okay.
Clutch my pearls.
Right.
No,
Right. No.
What about the kids?
Right. The children's.
Okay. Who is this? Okay, this is Gerald from Colorado. He said during the first episode, E-Baby, you said something about free or rent-free buildings. Spill it. How does that work?
Well, again, I don't have a quick answer. Every nonprofit is different.
Yeah.
Every situation is different. But in terms of a free building, I would say it starts with your board.
Okay.
You have to have an engaged board of directors, and you guys vet your major donors, meaning who's in our circle, who's in a position that could get us a facility. So getting people on your board who are active with, if you know that you need real estate, then you need someone from the real estate sector on your board, because they're going to be a gatekeeper to help you build relationships with future donors. But it depends on the space you need. Some people want a gym. Some people want maybe access to, once a month. Every scenario is different. So it's not really like one quick answer, but definitely diversifying your board and doing a drill down exercise to see who do we know and who's present to give us some resources that we need around buildings and acquisition. But I mean, did they have like
No.
more on that?
Anything specific. That was
Okay.
just it. But it's cool because remember, I was saying something about that was going to be a major topic. I was thinking because I got excited because I didn't know that was an option, because you were saying they're like empty buildings like throughout the country or whatever that could be flipped to be used. But you're saying if you have somebody on your board that is knowledgeable about that type of stuff, that's going to be one of your best ways to get that taken
That's
care
the
of.
first, yeah. And then I would also say, because your board members know it's about relationships. So the buildings can be there, but we still got to get to the gatekeepers behind that. So knowing who is going to be able to give us access to the information that we need. So if we, it's just really hard for me to talk like very broadly, but your board members open the doors for those conversations. Just like, let's just not say real estate. Say if we know that we have a group of students and we want to travel.
Yeah.
Well, I probably need to get to someone at Delta, because then they can, at Delta Airlines, can be an advocate to make sure when we make the ask, they're getting it to the co-workers or the right department and following up with them. So that's why I think I can't necessarily give one quick answer for him.
No, I feel you. But that's cool. Okay, I like that one. That was a good answer. All right, I got one more.
I tried. Thank you, sir.
You're good. You're the
is this?
guru.
It's a team. It's a
This
team.
one is, how do you balance managing the fundraising work and the staff with the need to be out meeting and asking?
Ooh. Do you want me to go first, Miss Mia? I could.
I mean, How do you balance? Is it just basically partying and business? Is that what they're asking?
If that's what you heard.
That's what I heard. Party on the weekend. That's what I heard. Or during the week if you get a liquor sponsor and you just keep that at your desk from the leftover event you just had. All right, fine. All right, I'll let you take it. I shouldn't have gotten involved.
Read the question again, Arvell, so I can just make sure I understand what.
How do you balance managing the fundraising work and the staff with the need to be out meeting and asking for donations?
Got it.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say, like, for us, we traditionally hit the ground running early in the morning. So 7:30 a.m. is a very popular time in the nonprofit world to go to breakfast meetings for networking, finding out about RFPs, requests for funding proposals, and really creating a schedule for the month and knowing like what your targets are and how you're going to hit them. So I pre-planned all of my meetings as best as I could. Okay. And then of course expect to work evenings and weekends going to different mixers. It really is about networking. So it is a high demand, and that balance comes from really knowing during maybe the first week of the month we put out our feelers by emails to potential funders. During the second week I plan to be out of the office going out making asks. During the third week I work with maybe my volunteer grant writers, and we're all coming together having meetings to talk about what has been submitted, what have we received a response from, how much do we have pending. So it's constantly being on an organized schedule to figure out a process for managing being out there making the ask and then actually managing the funds that you've received internally.
Wow. Okay.
But early mornings and late nights is the quick answer.
Okay. But it basically sounds like though the best thing is just to have a schedule, just to have some kind of like, this is what we're going to do for the month, and then you just kind of run that same
That is
thing.
true. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we built ours out, and of course, I've been in organizations that we had several people that could do that, but if you don't have the people, use your board members, and your board members would take that proxy role of, say, a development director or your grants manager or your in-kind donations person, and you plan an action of who's going to go out and make the ask.
So, okay, you said your day starts at 7:30. So is it safe to say you guys are usually doing like a 12-hour day, or is it just split between a bunch of people to get everything taken care of?
Well, if you're a small shop, yeah, sometimes it is long days. They can start as early as 7:30 a.m. And then I would say maybe they pause, like a typical in work day is around 5 p.m. Yeah. But then if I have a grant that's due and we were not able to get all of the details fleshed out, there are times when we were up at midnight or up to 2 a.m. just making sure we got the finalized narrative and budget finished so we can submit it the next day by 9 a.m. when it's due. So I think every organization has their own, general timing, but for a small shop, you do have to put in longer than average hours, which is why it's such high turnover in this industry, because people get burned out. They don't see a lot of pay on the front end.
I got you.
So yeah, it can be time consuming. That's why I built a calendar and strategy and highly emphasize systems, because without it, you will burn yourself out and you won't see the rewards for all the hard work you put in. Yep.
So, okay, here's something that just popped into my head. Have you ever been in a situation where someone pulls the money almost at the last minute?
As in a funder declining to give you the funding? Yeah, that does happen. I mean, and so if you're talking about a grant, sometimes those things change depending on the source. I've had funders maybe not pull it all the way, but they'll say, hey, we were going to give you $25,000, but we realized that we really wanted to serve a few more organizations, so here's $10,000. So we're giving you half of the funding. But if they have given you a contract, that contract is binding. So once all parties have signed that, unless there's an agreement to amend the contract, they should be obligated to release the funds as they told you. They can't necessarily like switch and bait you. You know.
So what happens in those situations? What do you just have to just roll up your sleeves and just handle it and try to get some money from somewhere else, or you just roll with the punches? So, I mean, which is why I think this podcast is going to be so important. We're showing you how to diversify your fundraising so that you're not in crisis fundraising mode. Most of the times when someone comes to us and asks for a grant,
it's because they have had some kind of shortage in funding in one area, and they're looking for a quick, what can we do to fill the gap?
Okay.
But when you work with your board to work on these 7 different areas of fundraising, then you're giving yourself enough cushion to wiggle room between to say, okay, 10% of our funding is going to come from grants. I know that 40% is going to come from our individual giving, 30% from our corporate funders, 10% in kind. So now you're starting to really create more leverage so that you don't have to be dependent on someone else to give you that. You're creating your own network so that you can use the dollars the way you want to.
Okay.
So.
Well, all right.
So,
Last question. This one comes from Tiffany, which is funny because it goes in line with the Guru's Guide that's coming up. And Tiffany wants to know, how much does it cost to hire a grant writer?
Okay. And actually, we talked about this a little bit last episode, but a grant writer, I want to be transparent. $30 an hour is probably your average grant writer. But what the thing is, you'll get baited to think okay, $30 an hour, cool. I won't eat lunch a couple of days and I can make that happen. Well, the real question to ask is, how many hours will this grant writer need in order to get the task done?
that makes sense.
So per project, I would say on a monthly basis, we dedicate about 30 hours a month to each project. So if that's the case, then you can see anywhere between $900 at a minimum to submit 2 or 3 proposals a month, which is about 30 hours worth of work. So
Okay.
But basically, no one needs to go in going $30 1 hour, I'm done.
right,
Good. Okay.
exactly.
Right.
Because I would imagine, just because even when I think about things, from my industry, it'll be will you do a show for how much would an hour cost me? And if I give them that rate, well, then how much is 15 minutes? And I'll be the same. Just it makes me think about just how people in their head would justify to go, well, $30 should be enough if at an hour.
Right.
Of course. They don't realize that it's a whole lot of other stuff that goes with it. So.
And you're right. I think, too, as an industry, grant writers have to be more transparent to say, this is what's involved. It was tough for me to figure out how to share that. So on the back end, I wanted to truly stick to, this is my hourly rate. But when you think about, okay, I got to prep, I got to be able to find and vet the funders. That means I got to build out your grant calendar.
So
that takes about 40 hours before I even start writing the grant.
And that counts in your 30 hours?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
But we do an implementation fee. So I've already calculated that this is how many hours, this is the hourly rate, and this is what you're getting for that bundle. So, but it took a while for me to come up with a system that works. And that's more of maybe a consultant freelancer. When you're working for an agency as the grant writer, some things are kind of already built in, because when I've gone to when I worked as a grants manager, it was already set up, so I didn't have to do an implementation. I just did a plug and play to keep the funding going. So if you're doing startup, yes, expect that every month 30 hours is for your implementation research, 30 hours, and then ongoing, I would probably say 15 hours a month, 3 to 4 hours a week, something like that.
As you see, the Guru is full of good knowledge.
She knows.
And Mia,
This
she
is
is
full of garbage.
That's the mailbag. If you have a question for the Guru, Mia, and even me, hit us up at 3G Podcast at thenonprofitguru.com. Once again, the number 3G Podcast at thenonprofitguru.com. All right, our next segment, this is where we talk about a nonprofit spotlight or a community awareness topic. And June is Men's Health Awareness Month. So it's a good time to share this type of information with all the men in your lives that you love, because fellas, we really need to take care of ourselves.
Dude.
A lot of folks seem to think that as long as you don't have body parts falling off, you all right.
That's why are you like this? That's the question.
I'm gonna throw my husband under the bus in this segment. I love my husband to pieces, but we have such different philosophies about when to go to the doctor. So I'm going to use a real, serious situation. My husband got bit by a spider, and I kind of over a couple of days watched this bite turn into what looked like gangrene. And his response was so calm and cool, oh, it's gonna go away in about another day.
No.
And I was so concerned that I literally had just had a child, so I was still on bed rest because I had a C-section and all of that. And I got up and took him to the hospital with the baby and was like, I think something's wrong here and I need my husband to be seen. Sure enough, they admitted him in the hospital and it was turned into staph infection. The doctor told me, or it was a staph infection. And if I had not brought him when I did, it could have become a blood infection. I just wanted to share a website that you can't go wrong with the CDC, Centers for Disease Control. Did I cut you off?
No, you're good.
So the CDC.gov is pretty much a clearinghouse for any public health topic that you want to know about. But for this month, since we're talking about men's health, we're going to go to cdc.gov/features/healthy men, HEALTHYMEN. We love you guys. Stay happy.
Man,
We need you.
June, Men's Health Awareness Month from the 3G's. Fellas, do what you're supposed to do. Listen to your wives, listen to your women, listen to the people that love you. Well, moving on to our next topic.
Oh, you got off that real quick. Real quick.
0 to 100. The next section is called the Guru's Guide.
All right.
This is where we get to learn. This is the edutainment part of the show.
All right.
Cool. Like I said, this is part 1 of a 7-part series that's all about fundraising, about building the components of a fundraising plan.
Yes.
So that's why this episode is called Winning Grants Like Horace.
Yes.
All right. So the show, it's all you.
All right.
Because people want to know about these grants, and we're going to sit back and listen. I might say some stuff. You know, she go say something off the wall.
Something wrong.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna be honest. I know we in this like fast age, technology, boom, boom, but I'm so archaic with my grant management system and grant writing. So I'm actually gonna give you some tips on how to set up your office.
Okay.
Now I know we all got a desk, you got a lamp, you got a cork board, your bulletin board, but there are certain things that you need to have in your files that no matter what funders are gonna ask you. So when they say we want to submit a grant, you need to have these things already. So the first one is you want a 6-prong file folder. Y'all know those like back in school?
The accordion style.
Not accordion, but you flip it and then it has like maybe multiple tabs on the inside. And you can flip and it's got the 2-prong hold on each tab.
Okay.
That to me has been my organizational Bible for organizing my grant folders for each funder that I'm approaching.
Office Depot just crunk right.
I mean,
shout out to any Office Depot, all of those companies. So what you do is on your first page, I always say create a 1-page fact sheet for your nonprofit, and it's going to be a snapshot of all the things that your organization is about. So it's going to have your mission statement, how many people you served, how many volunteers you've had, how many hours did your volunteers contribute for the year. Really just like a snapshot of who you are. The CEO, contact information, mailing address, which could be different. You know, sometimes some agencies may have a private mailing address because of the nature of their organization, but then they have a public mailing address. I think I said that right. A private physical address, but a public mailing address.
Gotcha.
So you want to list that. You want to also provide a copy of your board list, meaning every board member that you have, you need to put their name, their contact information, what organization they're with, and how long they've been with your nonprofit and what term they're in. So this might be Erica Gwen, my contact information, year 2 of 3. So that the funder can understand, like, okay, this different board members have been with this project different periods of times. You also want to put a bio of key staff people. As a grant writer, I couldn't keep running to the CEO and asking them, like, can you tell me your bio again? So I kept a catalog of everybody's key bio. I include a copy of my 501c3 determination letter. That's your letter that you get from the IRS that says, bing, you are official. So I keep a copy of that in my funder file. You also want a copy of your current year budget. If you don't have a budget, I would even project and do like a proposed budget. Because, I mean, when you're a startup, you may not have like 3 or 10 or 20 years of a budget history. So say, this is what we propose to do. This is what we actually want to do. And this is what we proposed. Meaning this is what we've actually procured maybe, and we propose that we will have this amount in our budget. Of course, with that, for more complicated grants, you're also going to add in some audited bank, either bank statements or audited IRS tax forms. So those are other pieces. Bylaws are your Bible. It tells you how you operate. And so some funders have asked to get a copy of those bylaws. So, and then another piece is getting a letter of MOU. What's an MOU? Pop quiz.
MOU.
First part of mouse.
Yeah, right.
MOU is a memorandum
You got it.
of, I don't know. Understanding.
Yes,
No, what is it?
yes.
No, what is
so
it?
we put in our letters of our MOUs from all of our partners. So when you're a new organization, one of my ways to cheat and to say how we justify that we know what we're doing, we bring in other partners who have a more valuable or maybe a more recognized brand. So Boys and Girls Club, if I know the CEO of that particular branch, I ask them, hey, can you write a letter of support to say that when we are going to do these initiatives, you're agreeing to be a partner and hold my hand through the process. Real easy. It's about relationships, and you get a copy of that MOU and you list it. And then I also keep in my 6-prong handy dandy notebook. I keep
see this.
all the. I'm gonna physically bring one next week. I think that would be really good for folks to see it.
Yeah.
But then having a list of all the awards and accolades that we as a team have. So if it's you and your board, list those awards that your board members have. What trainings have they gone to? Because boards are such a pipeline to funding. Your funders want to see, like, well, how reliable are they? What is their brand in the community? So you want to just make it easy by compiling all of that together. Now, of course, I talked earlier about your paper files being all in place, but really when it comes to your budget, we're going to really take a deeper dive next week where I can show y'all, like, what components of a budget are there and what can you not ask for and what can you ask for. The easy answer is you do not want to ask for things that funders believe you should be able to supply on your own. So food is usually a big no-no. You want to be able to specifically say, we are going to do a workshop with 50 participants, and so we need pens, curriculum, paper, we need technology, we need printers, we need microphones. Those are the things that funders want to see. Now, when you're listing all of this out, it's 2 types of budgets that you'll eventually end up doing. You're going to do a budget that's your bigger project budget, and then within that project, you're going to split it up into whatever that funder can help you with. So one project may have 6 different funders to help you offset it. So I may apply for all of the technology equipment just to a technology funder instead of trying to get it all covered by one.
I gotcha.
So it really helps to piecemeal this all together. Also, I want to ask: am I going too fast, or is it connecting dots here?
For the layman like me that doesn't know anything about this, okay, this is making sense.
Right, yeah, I'm all like, tell me more.
Yeah, it's rapid fire, but it's cool. It's cool. Keep it moving, yeah.
So then, and I'm also rapid fire because I realize that, an hour is a long time to talk about nonprofits and fundraising. So if you have questions about this episode, feel free to send us an email to 3gpodcast@thenonprofitguru.com. But I want to talk back to that cork board. So even though I said like a physical office space and all of that, I use my cork board to keep important key dates in front of me because you're constantly under fire thinking about when is a submission due, whether it's a report for a grant or the actual deadline for submitting the grant. So I do most of my management in an Excel spreadsheet, but I keep it in front of my eyes, a snippet of highlighted due dates for different grant funders. And I do that because it really helps me to keep an eye on a day-to-day basis, say, okay, I know I got 30 days until this next report is due, or I have 3 months to submit certain data or collect the data, or helping me to notify people on the team to say, hey, you guys, it's time to submit some information to the grant funder, so make sure that I'm giving you a heads up to get it to me. So you need a cork board. I say, I always have my calendar with my list, and I did mention that I have an Excel spreadsheet. So these are things that I think in a webinar we could really give like a real touch and go to say this is what it looks like. So in our Facebook group, if you haven't become a part of it, it is Fundraising for Nonprofit Women CEOs, and in there I think I'm going to do a live webinar so you can actually see how you can manage from my desktop, and you can see the Excel spreadsheet and the different tabs and what formulas I've put into the spreadsheet so that you can keep a track of your funding request that you're submitting out there. And then the last one, which I really think is a good segue into our next segment, our mailbag was sponsored by Bloomerang.
Yeah.
And so the main thing with Bloomerang is it's a CRM database. So I don't care what you use. Some folks use Razor's Edge, Donors Perfect, Blackbot, you name it. There's like a ton of them. But for us, our favorite in-house CRM database is Bloomerang. And so with that, you can use that to manage your different grant portfolios and put an internal tracker on when things are due and who's assigned to the grant, meaning internally as a team, who's responsible for different drafts of a proposal, and who's following up to make sure that the funder got everything that they needed on the back end.
Question.
Yes.
I have a question. So, but just because I'm familiar with the term CR, I mean, it's customer relationship management? Is that it? Okay.
It is, yes. Okay. I mean, you may have seen different...
Because I figure somebody might, I'm like, what if somebody... I know it just from working in corporate stuff. So.
Absolutely. And that's a good point. I say CRM because I think I've been just, glossing it over, but it is a customer relationship management database. And it's a very... Salesforce is probably one of the biggest
That's the
ones.
biggest,
that's for-profit and non-profit. So, but Salesforce has tapped into that nonprofit market, and they actually give out free subscriptions to that.
I did not know
you
that.
just apply, like you go Google Salesforce and nonprofit scholarship, and you should be able to find the link directly for getting that download. Oh yeah,
and Salesforce is really like it's like 'cause I use it in a just corporate environment, and it was really good just to go, this is the first time I talked to somebody, this is everything we've talked about, and it's all noted in one place. And is it still, because I know there's a web-based one, and then there was a
this one is
software, so.
Yeah, we've always used the cloud platform, the web one, and so I like it because it's on the go. So whether I'm at my house or if I'm at a client site, you can always get access to this information, and multiple people can get access to it. So absolutely. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The fact sheet, having a one-page fact sheet, overview of who's responsible for what, having the information where you're kind of collecting the data so that as a consistent basis you're not having to keep asking for the same information. And then when we talk about in that webinar, I can get in there and actually show you the spreadsheet of how we're tracking and managing the grants, and then also talking about specifically how do I tell the story. See, this is such a big topic. We really could split this up into 4 or 5 segments, because telling the story to write the grant is a different skill set than actually managing. So today we're more so talking about how do I manage and set up my systems so that I can be able to take control of all of the different ins and outs. But then you write the narrative and tell the story. Well, that's a whole nother segment, and I would love to do that.
This is pretty much more involved than most people think. It's not one of those things you can say, hey, so for $30 an hour, spend a couple of hours to write this grant for me.
Oh no, yeah, it's more detailed just because you have to. I mean, the main point is you want to get to know the projects. Yeah. Your projects have to be fundable. And so there are certain things that we like to do is just to say, did you think about this? Did you have an evaluation or an exit strategy? Every program is not meant to last the whole life of your nonprofit. Everything serves its course. And I always like to let my projects or programs follow whatever national trends are. So if the buzzword is around STEM programs, well, I better be thinking ahead. In 3 years, STEM programs may not be the buzz. Maybe the new buzz is apprenticeships or career readiness. So you just got to know what's popular to then be able to build out a program that's long-term fundable. And we'll talk about that and as we keep breaking these segments down.
All right, that's what's up. Hey, what's interesting, you brought up Bloomerang. So let's talk about Bloomerang. And in the show open, I was talking about how we are giving away money. So talk to the people. Okay. Let them know how Bloomerang is sponsoring this initiative.
Absolutely. So we could not do our monthly giveaway to our nonprofit spotlights without the support of Bloomerang. Bloomerang actually gives us $100 to give back to the community for every question that we receive. And in specifics, we actually are a partner for them. We're one of their preferred consultants. And so as that partnership, we are able to contribute data to their blogs and their websites. And in return, they actually give us a contribution that can be designated to any nonprofit. And so $100 could be a small, assignment for one organization. Like some people may think $100, but that can be a make or break. That could be snacks for an after school program. Or that could be supplies as we're getting ready for back to school. Or that could be things like purchasing additional software. So there are things that $100, I mean, as a creative nonprofit person, I believe that we can help find a way to bridge that gap. But Yes, Bloomerang is our sponsor of that segment, and I'm really excited to have them on the forefront.
All right, just to let you know, Bloomerang, a simple donor database and fundraising software solution that helps nonprofits reach, engage, and retain the advocates they depend on to achieve their vision for a better world. Bloomerang, and they are our sponsor. So $100. How do they get the $100? Go.
Okay, in order to get your $100 to be featured with our nonprofit spotlight, send us an email with your questions. We actually will also go Facebook Live in some of our segments in our Facebook group, Fundraising for Nonprofit Women CEOs.
All right.
But when your question is answered in our podcast, you will actually receive, or your organization will receive, a $100 gift. You do have to submit a copy of your 501c3 letter to show that you are a nonprofit in the community.
All right.
But it's just that simple.
Yeah, okay.
Send us a question. We answer it. If we pick it and answer it live on this show, you will get a $100 gift. Bloomerang makes the world that much happier, and we're glad to be their partner.
That's right. It's the 3G's taking the world over one grant at a time, I guess.
Yes. and speaking of grants, can I just list a couple of places where folks can go to find some funding?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, this is not your traditional, but I'm going to give you two parts.
Okay.
You're going to get data, because we need data to be able to tell our story.
Yeah.
So you're going to either go to usa.gov/statistics.
Okay.
If you work with youth, hands down, and the Annie Casey Kids Count Fact Book is my go-to, because, I mean, let's be honest, there's so many things happening in the world. You can't do it all. So I go and let somebody else give me the facts that they've collected over a 20, 30-year legacy, and they can even break it down by state, by city, and other jurisdictions. Also, datawarehouse.hrsa.gov and report.nih.gov. I give you a lot of federal listings of where to go for your data, because if you put in national trends, you cannot go wrong with a funder saying, you know what, this nonprofit knows what they're talking about. They're really trying to address an issue that's going on. And then last thing I wanted to give you guys, I got so many notes here. Let me go back.
You're talking about federal. You know, in our current political climate, does it matter who the president is? Will that money always be there?
No, it won't always be there. That is a good question. So depending on who is in office or what administration's office, you know, funding will change every administrative cycle.
Okay.
So I will say, keeping an ear out for when it's time for local politics and knowing how things are being voted and what's being passed down, definitely tune in. Get to know your local state representative. Volunteering even in that capacity helps you to keep an ear out. But even if not, just subscribe to the newsletters just so you can see the trends. Here in Georgia, one of the trends is skills-based learning. So I've watched and seen where the White House is giving $3 million to the state of Georgia. Then I look to see where exactly is that $3 million being allocated. And a lot of it is going into skills-based funding. So that's either Skills USA or through CTAE in our schools, which is college, career, technology, and agricultural education. So, you know, there are different things that you can look up to see where is this money going. But yes, it changes every administration, not just with our current climate.
I got you. All right, cool. I'm glad I asked. All right, so she just broke it down. That was the Guru's Guide. That was part 1 of a 7-part series on you putting together your fundraising plan. All right, so we're just trying to, at least once a month, we're trying to have a different series. And then we're going to keep the entertainment coming each and every episode. So thank you for just rocking with us. And now it's time for America's new favorite comedian, Mia Jackson, for her segment. It's called Damn, Is He or She Funny?
All right, so let me just, America's is more like Barbara and James Jackson. Those are my parents. It's more like their favorite comedian. Maybe even my sister and maybe 1 or 2 other people, probably my grandparents. But I will take that as America.
Take it.
I will, because I too sing America. That was Langston Hughes. What? All right. Now, hey, y'all wasn't ready. Okay. but this segment, you know, I just want to highlight. You know, I'm going to highlight comedians that I think are funny and that people should know. And one of my favorite comedians, who's actually right here in the metro Atlanta area, is a fellow by the name of, next to Arvell Poe, besides Arvell, who I was going to highlight. I was saving you for like...
I got you.
I
got to do some comedy first.
Right, we talked about this. Yeah. We got to get you on stage first.
Please don't start that, because my wife and my homeboy Heath, he's like my mentor. He's a comedian too. They trying to get me into it. I'm not ready.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
You've been
That
ready.
might be the time when you're ready.
Okay.
You've been ready.
See, there y'all go bringing it back on me. No, let's focus back. This is you. All about you.
You'll be episode 10. All right. Okay. So one of my favorite comedians. He's right here in the Metro Atlanta area. His name is David Perdue. It is not the senator. But
What about the dude that do the chicken?
Oh,
No.
the Purdue Farms.
Yeah, it's not the chicken people.
Okay.
I wish, because money.
He's right here in Atlanta. He went to Morehouse. He's
Ooh,
hilarious.
He's a tiger.
He's
maroon
he's
tiger.
a great comedian. He's one of my favorite comics. And it's a fun fact, and then no one knew this until now, but when I first met him, it was a lot of white guys with beards that did comedy in Atlanta, and I didn't know who some of them were, so he would always have to tell me. I was like, which white bearded one is that one? And he would I was like, it's so many of them. I don't know who is who, and he would help me. But besides that, he's a great guy. He actually is about to be on a new show on the OWN network called Love Is. It actually premieres June 19th. So he'll be on that show.
I'm looking forward to that.
He'll be on that show, but his material, if I were to describe it, would probably be more like I said, he's, as the children say, woke. Okay. He's but it's not in a way that, sometimes some people are real preachy about things that they say, and he's not like that at all. Like, he's very, he's adorable. Like, he's adorable. So he can tell you the meanest thing in the world, and you would be like, oh my God, he just told me off, but I love him and I needed to be told off. But you can find him on all the social medias. It's Do or Die, DUE or ORDIE, and he's on Twitter, he's on Instagram, he's on the Facebooks, as some of the older people would call it. So you can find him on the interwebs. But he's been on a ton of stuff. I mean, like, he's he's great, and he's one of my favorite people in comedy, and I think you all should know him too. So look up David Perdue.
All right, David. I'm excited to see
too.
Love Is.
Yeah.
You think he will grace us with his presence one day?
I could ask him. I could
Tell him
absolutely
Love
ask him.
Is here.
I said Love Is the 3G's podcast.
Exactly.
Because it is Love Is with the love can be whatever you want. So Love is what?
Talk to him.
All right, I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna ask him.
Awesome.
Dang, I guess he is funny. All right.
He
then.
is.
All
He
right.
is.
We're looking forward to
thank
that.
you. So now we're moving on
All right.
to one of my segments. It's called the Indie Takeover. Big shout outs to our premiere episode where we had 13th from the Bread Hunters out there in Aliceville, Alabama.
Alice.
I love that song, actually. I played it a couple
Strong,
times.
yeah, it is.
Aliceville.
It is nice. So big shout outs to you. All right. So I wanted to make sure we had a female this week.
Okay.
All right.
Look
we
at you
got?
out
Who
here.
we got?
All right, so just really quick, this artist, she is from Little Rock, Arkansas. All right.
Okay.
And this artist is, if I can get the information, her name is Hope Dixon. On August 8th, 1991, singer-songwriter Hope Dixon was born in the natural state of Arkansas. Her sultry, soulful voice has moved people since the tender age of 4. Dixon's early background includes singing in the church choir, school choir, local gospel and R&B groups. She later studied music in college and obtained a degree in the business of music.
Oh, this girl is bad.
Since
blood.
then,
soul
she's
since
branched
what?
out to different venues, spreading love and soul through her music. Currently, she travels internationally as a solo artist and a vocalist for a rising rock soul band called Daz and Bree and the Emotionals. Hope aspires to lead a movement of hope throughout the world. It's not just about living up to a name, but a purpose. She graciously gives her time, energy, and shares her gift in hopes that people will be moved. She represents orange, radiant and warm and happy. She represents a lotus, spiritual and pure. She is just hope.
Amen.
like that.
It got brighter. It was brighter.
It
Like
did.
when
She
you were
started
talking about her.
Okay.
Hope
That's a
did
sign.
that.
She did.
All right.
did.
So the name of this song is called Rain Dance. All right.
All right.
So this is Daz and Bree featuring Hope Dixon, Rain Dance. You can find her website at justhopeorange.com. On Facebook, she's Just Hope. On Instagram is Hope_Dixon. YouTube, Hope Dixon. All right, and booking, I can't forget that, justhopeorange@gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, on the Indie Takeover, we present to you one more time, it's Rain Dance by Hope Dixon. I want y'all to check it out. We'll have the song at the end of the show. All right?
I feel like I'm gonna be doing like this.
Oh man, I love it.
Yes.
I love it. So y'all check this out.
The real guru.
Hey, this is the 3G podcast. My name is Mastermind, aka Arvel Poe. To my left is America's new favorite comedian.
Thank you, Mia Jackson.
On my right is the guru of all things nonprofit. Her name is
Erica Brantley Gwynn.
I call it E-Baby. And you are our favorite guests, listeners, fans, supporters in the whole entire world. Tell your friends to tell their friends to tell their friends to like, share, and even whatever, submerge, or subscribe, and all that type of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We love y'all.
I like that.
We really do.
And so, just to wrap it up, today's show, it was called Winning Grants Like Horace. She told y'all with y'all great overview of what to do as far as putting together your grant.
On the front end. We really didn't dive into the writing of the grant, but we definitely said this is what you need to do to set up to be prepared. Yes.
Winning.
Yes.
We got a new comedian that's coming up that you need to know about. One more time, what's his name?
His name is David Perdue, Do or Die on all the social medias.
And we're giving away money. Money, $100. From who?
Bloomerang. This segment is always sponsored by Bloomerang, our favorite CRM database to help you manage all of your fundraising needs for your small shop nonprofit or for your large operation.
All right. We got another episode coming soon, so y'all stay on the lookout. Tell everybody about the show. It's the 3G's. We're out of here.
Can I?
Whoa. What's up? What's up?
I had one little tip. I just wanted to say. Before we get out of here, I just want to make sure you understand that your board is going to be really involved on that front end with helping you with managing, setting up that grant.
Okay.
But as time goes, they'll back up. Really, the responsibility is going to be on you as the CEO to be a big key of being the face of fundraising for your organization. And then your staff, you just want to make sure they're out there collecting the data, getting surveys, focus group information from the people who are actually being served by your nonprofit, so you can use that to write a better proposal. And next week, speaking of like our fundraising plan, we'll talk about individual giving. So end of the year giving, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of that. Well, that really is an individual giving campaign. And we're going to talk about this is the right time now to set up for your end of the year fundraiser. So let's not wait until after we ate all of our Thanksgiving turkey and dressing and then say we got 30 days. We start planning that 6 months ahead of schedule. So we'll talk about individual giving during the next segment.
You heard the guru. That's how we're getting down. It's the 3G's. You see it right here. Holla at your folks. Till next time. Peace.
Bam.
All right. To the clouds and offer your smile. Always prepare for the flood, even if it takes a while. Oh yeah. And just in case it don't feel like raining, Lord, open the skies. I've been pacing all night and day for the wind to blow or change my way. Thank heavens it's raining. Let it come on down. Mix with my pain and let it fall to the ground. I wanna dance on the grave of my past mistakes. Let the teardrops wash my hands. I've waited all day. Let it